Dakota News Now at 9 has your first look at local and national headlines of the night. Breaking news without the wait. Tomorrow's First Alert forecast on your schedule. Sports highlights 1 hour earlier. Dakota News Now. News when you want it.
Make Dakota News Now part of your morning routine. Eric Thorstensen and El Dakota give you the latest headlines and breaking news you need before you walk out the door. And Aaron Doudna has your First Alert forecast so you can plan for the day and several days in advance with our 10-day forecast. Get up-to-the-minute news and weather and start your day with a little fun. Every weekday morning from 5 to 7 on Dakota News Now.
You're watching the FCS Championship postgame show, a Dakota News Now sports report.
All right, for the second time in 2 years, the South Dakota State football team walks into Frisco, Texas with something to prove, and now they're walking out as back-to-back FCS national champions. Hello and welcome to the Dakota News Now FCS Championship post-game show. I'm Eric Thorstensen, joined in studio by Dakota State University head football coach Josh Anderson. Thanks for coming. I know
yes, sir.
You were in Frisco last year, but we're glad you're here with us today. He's going to help us break down another impressive win for the Jacks today, which has now led to a back-to-back national championships. Of course, Mark Omenden, Zach Borg, they will be joining us live from Frisco with more. We're going to have post-game reaction on the big win. Now, due to NCAA rules, we are not allowed to show highlights of today's game during this program, but we will be able to show those during our newscast coming up here later today. Now, here's what else we can show you. Social media reacting to the Jacks' big win, Jackrabbit Nation making their voices heard all over X this afternoon. If you watch the television broadcast, there were a lot of Jacks fans in the stands today, definitely outnumbering the Montana fans. And there were plenty of folks as well also getting together in person to watch today's game. At Shenanigans in Sioux Falls was among many sports bars to host a watch party for the national championship, which you saw on KSFY. Now, we had a crew there today to talk with some of those fans. We'll have much more on that coming up here on Dakota News Now at 5 and 5:30. But let's get to the game. First of all, Josh, when you talk about the first half, it didn't go as easy as they thought. SDSU, their first drive, they drove down a long drive, scored a touchdown, up 7-0. Things looking good at that point. But it wasn't easy the rest of the way, was it?
No, the way they started, it looked like it was going to be just a roll with the Jacks today. But after that first drive, that first impressive score, things got a little stagnant. For the first 2.5 quarters, it was a defensive battle, and especially with Montana coming back with their first drive, going right down to the goal line. But Adam Bach made that fourth down tackle, but he ended up tackling the man and the ball to keep him from rolling into the end zone was impressive. And I think if the Jacks would have scored rather than having that interception for a turnover, I think things would have gotten out of hand a lot earlier. But I think that also ended up tightening them up a little bit. But the big hit on the quarterback on the last play of the first quarter.
Yeah, the Montana quarterback looked like he was a little banged up after that.
It ended up taking half of his game out because he was hurt and he was no longer running the ball. And so it made him just a passer, and I don't think that's his forte. So
well, we kind of thought, the Jacks, if they would shoot themselves in the foot, maybe Montana could hang out, even though the Jacks were big favorites in this game. In that first half, they did have the interception. There was a fumble on the punt return on that punt, and they only led 7-3 at halftime. But in the second half, they came out in that third quarter. They were able to get a couple of Montana turnovers, capitalized on those, and it just seemed like when SDSU scored and got a 2-score lead that this game with their defense was over, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The first drive, starting the second half, Montana looked like they had things figured out and had a good halftime speech to get them going. Yep. They were hitting guys in space, and it looked rough. And then Brian Williams came up with that fumble. Luckily, it got reviewed and overturned and went in the Jacks' favor. And then, obviously, on that 3rd and 8, when Gronowski hit Hines for that big play, it ended up sparking the touchdown, and then it just kind of took off from there for the Jacks.
And SDSU goes on to get a 23-3 win over Montana. We have a crew, as we have throughout the last few days in Frisco, Texas. Let's send it to Mark Omenden with a special guest. Mark.